Hello everyone. Hello, Sharon. I'm excited for another amazing conversation here.
Me too. I'm so excited. I can't wait to hear all about your
Yes,
exploring these past lives or other lives. I shouldn't say past. I don't believe in past. I believe in all along, all the same time.
yes.
So
And today we're being joined by Jeroen. I know I butchered it. I'm sure I
You're
didn't
good,
say
pretty good. You say pretty good.
it. Thank you.
Jeroen.
Welcome. It's so exciting to have you.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me on.
And
Huh.
one of the things that I so love about the work that you do is you provide this angle of using past life regression as a way of connecting with lives that are beyond human lives. I love listening to those stories of yours. And so I'm thrilled for us to dive right in there because past life regression is not just about a linear time and linear life of being humans. We can use the process for anything. And so I'm thrilled for us to start right there. What have your clients shared with you?
I'm glad you asked. I love these sessions because they really point to us being more connected to the galaxy than we've known thus far. So there's one session that pops up for me now that I was just so tickled with. I was working with a woman who ended up going into a lifetime that happened congruently or simultaneously. She found herself on a large sort of mothership type of spaceship with a large team of beings from all over the galaxy. They looked very different. And she wore like a silver onesie outfit, which is kind of common, it seems like, in the galaxy. And but it had an emblem on it, like she described like a triangle with a circle and a dot in it. And I asked her about it, like what does that communicate? And she said, oh, it means that I'm the team from one of the four quadrants, and my team specifically is in charge of distributing flora throughout different planets. So what we've come to find out in the work that I do is that many different planets are being seeded with life. They're like projects for galactic beings to start life and to support it. And so her particular task is to take flora from one planet, so the plants from one planet, vegetation from one planet, and to modify it for the biosphere on a different planet, or for the living conditions on a different planet.
Wow.
And she was in charge of cannabis. And this lady doesn't even smoke weed in this current lifetime. And she was so surprised to find out about this because her alternate self, the space being, the galactic being, was telling me about how cannabis is such a great terraformer that it brings nutrients into the soil, it changes the soil for other plants to be able to grow. So that was her task. And she was told in that session that she should grow a particular strain of cannabis to learn more about the plant, to kind of have her feet on the ground and to learn what it's like to work with this particular strain. And this knowledge that she would gain would help her other part self,
Wow.
more effectively to take care of cannabis.
That is fascinating. Beyond fascinating.
Yeah. So it's become quite, a normal phenomenon that people go into these galactic lives. This is not something that's unique to a select few individuals. This is quite common. And it's really changed my view on, how I see us as human beings. I think we're kind of composite personalities, and we bring in experiences from other lives, be it, past lives, what we call past lives, or galactic lives, with a very specific purpose. And there's many people right now on the planet that deliberately bring in experiences from other galaxies, being places of like a higher frequency, if you will, or there's more understanding of love and compassion and working together. So there's many people on the planet right now that are deliberately bringing that part in to anchor that onto the planet and to bring about this frequency change here, this raising of the consciousness right now. So it's really very normal. It's you and you, Sharon, and me, and most of my clients and like millions of people now on the planet.
What is so fascinating that you just said was not only is she being benefited from the connection with this other lifetime, but also whatever she's learning is benefiting this other counterpart self. To me, that's like, oh, I'm so happy you said that.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, this seems to be normal as well. Like whenever you're dealing with like an interdimensional life, which is, I guess, all the time,
Right.
that these lives, I mean, that's really the point of doing a past life regression, if you will, to experience or to absorb the quantum codes of this other expression of the soul to benefit the current lifetime. So it's like this reciprocal, interaction that seems to be happening.
Completely.
So without going into her privacy, could you tell us how it benefited her? I mean, why did she come to you? Did she just want to explore? Did she have a problem that she was facing? Without going into her privacy.
Yeah, I don't remember enough details. This is like a while back. Usually it's people wanting to do a deeper dig into their life purpose or deal with some physical issues. But I don't remember. I want to say it was maybe like to change a change of path. But I'm starting to remember, like she was in a particular career and she wanted to see if there was something else out there for her. She was a bit older, I think, than I am. So she had like a long career and she wanted to change and do something else, but wasn't sure, what her life purpose was. So yeah, it was quite a very specific purpose that she was given.
It completely makes sense. Yeah. How is you having these galactic experiences with people as the person who guides them? How is it changing you? You spoke briefly about the way you see people, humanity has changed, but I would love to hear more about it.
For me, it's changed my perspective of my own beingness or my own soul as a galactic traveler as well. And I see, so many other people the same way. So that this lifetime is the lifetime I'm in right now is very deliberate and very purposeful, because there's this whole other part of me, of my soul, that is experiencing this life through me, my personality. And so learning lots of stuff, and there'll be an end to it, of course, as we all know. And then I'll continue on to another experience or kind of reabsorb into my soul and go into another experience.
Completely makes sense. Yeah. Have you answered the question for yourself of why regression, why this process, why reincarnation? Have you figured out how that fits into the bigger scheme of your soul's journey?
Do you mean like why?
Yeah, I'm just curious, right? Because I asked the same question of myself. Mira, you could have done a million other things. Why this, right? So have you answered that for yourself? And you can easily say, I don't know, it's interesting.
Yeah, I've answered it. So I mean, I've always been predisposed to, knowing about other realms or experiences. Like I remember as a kid, knowing that there was more to life than just this physical realm. And at the time, it turned into me, whenever we would go for a walk in the woods, I would look in the hollow of trees for little chairs and tables that the gnomes and the fairies would have left behind. I just knew there was more going on. That was the realm of my experience at the time. So it's always been there. And then so I had some experiences earlier on in life that kind of proved that was going on. And then when I found out about my teacher, Dolores Cannon, and read her books, and I was like, oh yes, this is really, I've known this to be true. So I just feel like it's very satisfying for me to do this work, because it deals with the parts of me. I get the parts of me reflected that I haven't seen reflected anywhere else in life. So I call it the magical parts to a person, the magical parts to myself being the parts that did not fit the mold that we were given to fit ourselves within, as human beings on the planet right now. And so I kind of knew that there was more to me as well as a kid, and didn't know what that was or how to find sort of proof of it. So this this past life regression that I do right now, it really, it reflects back to me this other dimensional part of myself. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Completely, yeah.
So, and does it help you in your work? Because I know I've been into my Arcturian self, and when I do healing, I sometimes take people to the Arcturian healing chambers, you know? So do you use that part of you? Obviously you do. When you regress people, you know more how to ask questions. Do you find that it opens the door for you to understand more and to help the people more?
Yeah, I would say like it's changed because I've been doing this work for 17 years now, and it's changed my perspective in the way that I was describing earlier. So my line of questioning has changed quite a bit. I've also found out about my own, galactic lineage. And so with my questioning is always about helping a person to connect to their soul, or that magic within themselves, because that's my journey here on the planet as well, to the other parts of themselves.
Would you be willing to share some stories of discovering your own galactic lineage? I'm excited to hear.
I mean, they're not very spectacular. I just remember a session that I did like a long time ago, and this Pleiadian part came through, and it was telling me about that I was here to not only to explore my own, like my circuitry is very heart-centered in this life. It's all about the heart space. So I've been doing the work to to release the traumas, or to learn from what happened to me in the past, and as a way to open up my own heart space, and doing this for others now as well. And so that's what I was told, that this Pleiadian part of me was very skilled in doing that, and to bring about those frequencies. And then another part was Syrian, and I'm not sure. I think I found out about it through an Akashic Records reading, or I don't think it was a regression. And I don't remember details about it. Yeah,
Interesting.
two parts that I've dug up so far.
So it's a good point that you're bringing up, because I do find when I work with people, I don't do regression, but I see their other experiences. And so, and for myself as well, I find that we're not, let's say if someone says, I am Syrian, I'm Arcturian, there also have been to other planets and have collected other experiences that they bring into here and now.
Yes.
So I think that's a good point that you just brought up, that you do remember or about the Pleiadian experience. That is very cool.
I think there's more, just as there's more, just like you said, more to everybody. But I think that we as souls decide, which parts to bring into this particular experience, or to have access to, for a particular purpose that we have here.
Yeah.
When we talk about being from other places, other planets, other lifetimes, it makes me wonder, how do people, in your experience, come to terms with missing home, missing that feeling of being in a heart-centered space, missing that freedom, right? Like, I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, you must experiences as well, that you get to work with a client, and they tell you that they've never belonged here. They feel like their home is somewhere else. So usually people find out, like a typical session, people find out then where their home is, or they get visited by their people, like you're taking them to a normal earth past life, and then they go into the in-between life space, and there might be their galactic family might be there to welcome them and say, hey, this is what's going on, and we're your true parents, and all that stuff. So that is one way of reconciling that feeling, but also to understand that their makeup, their nature is really, a big part of it is from these different places, and that they're here, part of that galactic race, to research and to help people here. So instead of, because usually when people don't miss home and they feel like they don't belong, they've learned to make themselves really small in their own life because of all the difficult experiences that we experience here on earth. And so to reconnect with that, with the truth of who they are, or a bigger truth of who they are, and to know that, to give this whole added perspective to why they've been feeling that way, and why they're here now, it often, like, if not always, like switches the perspective to like, oh, okay, this is why I'm here, and I'm here to, for a short time, to do these things, and it makes sense, and I don't have to fit into this mold that, again, that we were given. I can just be myself here, because that's the whole purpose of it.
I so
Right.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of one of the aspects of someone that I looked at. He was saying that he's what do you call it? A dragon, and he was saying that dragons are in their power, and us humans, we're afraid of power. We're afraid of our own power. So he wanted, that aspect of him wanted to come more in, because that human was so afraid of being, in their power. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, you just spoke to that. So it reminded me. That
Yeah.
was really cool.
That seems to be a deliberate journey as well, that we choose to be here, but not being in our power, or having our light shut down, and then learning how to recover that. And because that's something that we don't seem to be able to do in these other galactic realms. So Earth is very coveted in a way, that to be here, to do this fast track learning, to get the most sort of juice out of this fast track learning process that we're capable of here, because we live in duality. So to come in, to have your light kind of turned off, and then to expand your consciousness by learning how to recover that's a very coveted journey to have. There's lots of wisdom that is gained through that. So it's not like we're doing it wrong because we're afraid of our power, or we're not in our power, or what's happened, or we're victimized. This is a deliberate journey to have, that we choose to focus in this very dense place, and to learn how to bring more consciousness, to expand more consciousness within it.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Go ahead.
I was thinking in terms of all that expansion and all that learning. What is the new thread that is showing up in your work? What is interesting? What do you see as a pattern that personally excites you in your work now?
What's been showing up more? I mean, there have been several patterns, but like I call it, bringing back the witches has been coming in a lot. Meaning, the indigenous knowledge that also that we've had as human beings, and that indigenous cultures still have to this day. But the lives where people go back into lives where they were women who knew about healing, and astrology and herbology, and what we've learned to call witches. And so people going back into those lives and being told, like, yeah, you were killed the last time for this, but not this time around. You're here to bring that knowledge through again, because this is what's needed on the planet right now. So I'm so tickled with these sessions. I love them because it's always women. It's about the what we have called the feminine traits. They're being brought back in, and it means I'm being told, like, thank God the patriarchy is coming to an end, and this birth of this feminine, the feminine, divine feminine, this energy is coming back in. It's not like that means that men are bad or men should be done away with. Of course not. But it's just a switch in paradigm and consciousness that is a consciousness that I've always been more aligned with. I've always been more connected to nature and caring for the planet and animals, and this is what I've wanted my whole life. So I'm super tickled about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Oh, so you say that most women come. Do you get any males that come and remember their lives as women and having these gifts?
I mean, up to this day, I haven't. I mean, I work mostly with women. I think women are like the pioneers of the new consciousness. So I would say about 75% of my clients are women. So yeah, it hasn't happened yet. I mean, yeah. I mean, I was from readings and stuff, I was told that I mean, gender is really not an issue when you talk about, regression or reincarnation. We switch genders, races, species, all the time. So
Yeah,
um, I was told that I've been a witch myself as well.
for
But
sure.
um, yeah, but up to this day, no man, it's usually they go back to lives. It's very interesting that whenever they go back to European lives, because me being from Europe myself and not really finding this connection to the land and to nature and to each other living there. When people go back to lives that took place in Europe, where there was this intricate knowledge of and connection to magic and the land and nature and animals and being able to speak to animals and then hearing about how Christianity came in and kind of cut us all off from that. It feels like kind of redeeming in a way, where I was like, oh, thank God, there was this knowledge there. And it reminded me of, small instances that I had as a child when my mom would like take me for a walk in the woods and point to this big oak tree. And there was people that put little like pieces of their nightgown like in the tree. It was called the fever
Oh,
tree. If they were
right.
sick, this was what they would do. So there was these
Wow.
folkloristic beliefs that had carried over, from that time that never died. And
Mhm.
then other things as well, like whenever there was like mist low on the land, she would call it like the white maidens. This is like spirits that would come
Wow.
up thing. And kind of now doing this work, like reconnecting with this richness and wealth of wisdom that was part of us as well. And I
Yeah,
think it's beautiful because it's ultimately, it connects us deeper into the truth of who we are.
absolutely. And I do feel like, well, I know that's what I think. I mean, that's what my guides were saying too, that because of the frequency that you offer, being from Europe and having these experiences, then the people that are attracted to come and work with you have maybe more of that. Because, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that. Because, for example, the last few months, I've had a lot of women that are trying to get pregnant and have problems and whatever. And so I asked my guides and I said, what's the deal? Why is everybody that's coming in is with, so they said, well, what is it getting pregnant? It's about giving birth to something, right? So they said that I'm trying to give birth. It's time for me to give birth to something new. So that is my reality. That's my reflection, right? So I do feel that, you attract that because of your experiences in this life too.
You're totally on the money. Like that's what it's been feeling like. I mean, this is the journey I've been on in my own life. I'm out in nature all the time. I really became aware of my relationship to nature during the pandemic, when there was nothing else to do but to, have the freeways clear and race to the mountains and go hiking and just be with nature and the trees and just, noticing how I felt being there, how connected I felt. And so, yeah, it's kind of strengthened that part of myself. And this is now, I think, what's coming in through my clients as well, and reflecting that back, like you said.
I have to
Yeah.
tell you, during the pandemic, I loved following your Instagram stories where you were posting and sharing. Oh, it was feeding my soul. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
I'm like, yes, I know it really happened. I was there for it. So thank
Oh,
you.
that's cool. I'm going to join that.
I would love for us to leave people with another story or anything else you want to bring into the conversation.
Well, I could give you another story of like, our galactic connection. I remember a session where a woman, would go back to an earlier time in the current lifetime where she was taken on board a spaceship, and there was like tissue was being taken. It was like her eggs were being harvested or taken, and it was they were taken by these little sort of gray looking ones, and I try to like talk to them, but they weren't really communicative. Like they kind of like were yes and no questions. And then I had to look around, is there anybody else here that's in charge of this operation? There was this taller being around. Come to find out that, what was the story there? Come to find out that she contracted with these beings as a soul before going into this current lifetime to make her body available for this genetic material to be used by these beings being a future expression of humanity from a different timeline. So in their timeline, humanity had decided, because of all the upheavals and the crises that we experienced, that emotions were bad. So they were going to sort of genetically modify our human beingness into where emotions were not there anymore. And with that, they lost the ability to procreate like we do. And so they ended up having to clone themselves, and that had run its course. The clones were not happening anymore. And so they were basically they were dead ending themselves. And so they had come back into this current lifetime, into this in our timeline, to harvest genetic material to hybridize, their race, to give it a future again, and to also to bring their consciousness to humanity as well, because they had learned. Oh, I'm sorry, my phone's going off. Because they had learned to there was some kind of mastery that would come. No. The hybrids are mastering their emotions. They knew how to use or channel that emotional energy with a particular focus, which is what humans could learn from as well. So, at first it was like, oh my God, her eggs are being taken. Like, what's going on here? I'm thinking that we're being victimized for that, but it was consensual from the soul's perspective. And and she wanted to do that for these beings, the future expression of humanity.
Very
So I thought that
cool.
was really, fascinating
What a
story.
what a
Yeah.
fascinating story. It really it really puts a different light on people speaking about alien abductions. Yeah, it's a very different way of looking at it. Yeah, really amazing. And I love how you moved into bringing in the session, how you moved from talking to them to somebody else. Can somebody else talk to us? I really appreciate that. Right?
That's always so much fun to me. Like whenever they're in a space like that, it's only happened twice to me that people weren't available. Like one time there was, my client was on a spaceship again and kind of like getting their bearings, like what the hell's happening. So can you go ask somebody in control? Or, and it's like, I had to kind of tap him on the shoulder, and this being was like, not now, we're busy. I'm just like, excuse me, Mr. Alien, you don't have to talk to
me. That's cool. So tell us how someone gets a hold of you, and how long is the session? Maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I do Dolores Cannon's method, QHHT, and sessions of 4 hours. I'm based in Los Angeles in the Valley, and you can find me. Instagram is the easiest. It's like the hub of all my different links. So it's my first name, Jeroen, Jeroen, and then my affirmation is love. So Jeroen is love. Excuse me, or my website, first name Jeroen, and then QHHT.com.
Yeah, I know that people will be so intrigued in connecting with their galactic lives with you. So thank you for sharing that information with them. And thank you for being with us today and opening our minds to what else is possible, what else is available, and what is the service we provide in terms of a bigger global view of things. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's always so good to connect with,
Yeah.
like-minded individuals, people that are doing the same thing, that understand, these realms and stuff. So super excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited that you're doing this. Thank you. It is time, that more people, more of us are aware of really what's going on and to expand our mind, our awareness. So thank you so much. And thank you for being here with us. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.
Bye.
Bye.